Hello, beautiful Cancerian moon children, and welcome to December 2020. It's so nice to sit down with you. One of my favorite spaces to sit every month. It feels so good here. There's a lot to cover this month. December is really powerful. We have eclipse season, we have the solstice, we have Jupiter and Saturn shifting from Capricorn into Aquarius. We have a full moon in your sign, and we also are working with Sagittarius season and Capricorn season, really big, bold energies. So we're doing it all. And of course, it's the end of the year. It's our connection point with the sun's journey through our journey with the sun. So it's an all-around heavy-hitting month. First thing that comes to mind for me is there's a really big shift going on here with Jupiter and Saturn. It's wild. They're filtering into Aquarius around the 17th, 18th, 19th. Then they join forces and have a conjunction on the solstice. But this is really big for Cancerians because Saturn's been in your 7th house, your opposing sign of Capricorn, for 3 years. And that made it somewhat personal. You know, there was a lot of growth and evolution during that time. Doesn't always necessarily mean it's been a terrible time. There's probably been a lot of really amazing, big, juicy things that have happened in that time. But it also has put some pressure, right? It's asked you to grow in really big ways. So let's just take a moment to breathe and feel the joy of closing that transit for you. Of course, Jupiter and Saturn are then going to be in your 8th house of transformation. So the transforming is going to continue, but it's going to continue from a place of the mystery and the hidden a little bit more. It's gonna come from a much more spiritual place. So you're gonna be noticing an evolution and a building from behind the scenes. Whereas what's been happening with them in the last 3 years is that, especially Saturn, is that it's been more clear and present all around you. But the thing that I love about this is the blockages have been released. So you may find that there's a lot more ease and flow when it comes to relationships and getting the things done that you want to do. And there's a lot of joy in that, and I'm so excited for that. But before we even get that, you know, the first half of this month is eclipse season. We have a full moon in Gemini on the 30th of November. That's an eclipse that starts this off, right? And so that's going to be in your 12th spiritual house. And then we have a new moon and eclipse on the 14th of December in Sagittarius, your 6th house. So eclipse season for Cancerians is going to be really about harmonizing your spiritual and your physical, you know, how you connect in your dream world, and then how you connect to your routines and to your physical, to how you show up in the physical. So during eclipse season, you may be finding that you're making those adjustments, you know, like you may be having really intense dreams, you may be noticing you're shifting as far as how you're connecting to spirit, and then you're also maybe craving some shifts with your physicality, with, you know, how you're moving your body or eating or sleeping or any of those things, right? Just how you're connecting to your body in general. So it's a kind of it's a really personal and practical in some ways eclipse season for you. 10 of Wands wanted to come out. This is one of the notes that came through for Cancerians was to take a deep breath this month. There's a lot of recalibrating going on, and it's an interesting time. The first half of this month in Sagittarius is going to be about how you're connecting to your physical body. The second half of the month, as we get more and more into Capricorn season, is going to be about relationships and viewing your world from that opposing lens, right? And just kind of taking stock. And I think along with that, you know, Jupiter, Saturn moving, it's like taking stock of the last 3 years. Everything you have learned, everything you have become. Judgment. Big release energy here, Cancerians. Wow. I really want you all to just give yourself some credit for the last 3 years, because I guarantee you probably every single one of you has had quite the journey. You have grown as a person. You have grown as a spirit in this life. 3 of Swords. Don't worry, we're going to talk about this. And 9 of Wands. All right, I got to pull one more card for this. Oh, goodness. Don't worry. And 10 of Cups. I just knew. I was like, there's no way that this has to do with the practical outpourings. This has to do with that deep breath I was just talking about. And it has to do with when we've just come through a big transit, like Saturn in Capricorn for 3 years, and even Jupiter in Capricorn for the last year. Chiron's going direct in Aries in your cardinal sign around your career, and there's a lot of forward motion going on there where your road blockages once again are getting released. When there's big transits like this that have just finished, it always is a moment to take that breath. And here's what I'm seeing here. This year has been heavy. Even if you are somebody who's lucky enough to, have a space where you've been able to kind of weather the huge energetic waves, and you've even found some really great joy and creativity and reset and gratefulness, right? Like, no matter where you have been on the scale, from really stressed and ragged to like somewhat safe and feeling those moments of joy, it's been an intense year. It has asked us to find deeper faith and to face into deep fierce points in ourselves, and to like sit with both of those things and really figure out what it means. And one of the things that's going on in December, and I'm not surprised that Cancerians, you're like on the pulse of this, because of course being connected to Mother Moon and being connected to one of the most essential energies that we have ever, you work in this modality. I'm getting full body shivers here. One of the things that's happening in December is that there is a part of us that is so overwhelmed. Like our inner child and our inner dictator who's been trying to take care of us has been so overwhelmed by this learning curve that there is almost just like, it's a lot to process. And so much of the energy this month is like, let's move forward, let's move forward. Here's eclipses, here's a shift in energy, here's a new year, here's, like, it's just big future focused, big vision, lens shifting, mutable, moving around energy all month. And when I see, these first 4 cards, what I see is that part of ourselves, right? It's been in the battle. It's navigated some really hard points. Loss, change of self, change in what you value or where your path is going. And I think also with the close of a long energetic cycle, like the one we've just been through, there is a moment of grief around saying goodbye to that being, that iteration of yourself. That's what I see, especially with these first 2 cards, the 10 of Wands and Judgment. To me, these are huge release cards. And you may find that eclipse season for you, the first couple weeks of this month, are going to be very useful in lightening the load. Both of these cards speak to, we carry ghosts on our shoulders. We carry things that have found their full completion. And this is that point, this is that moment where we acknowledge the completion, and we acknowledge, we forgive, we find grace and release. This is one of my favorite moments in life, actually, is this moment right here. This moment of it's okay. It's okay. I'm okay. And it's so essential. There's so much opening up for Cancerians, and we'll keep talking about this, especially, We hit into your full moon at the end of the month, which just illuminates you and helps you see your whole journey so clearly and close out this year in a moment of grace and magic. And this whole month is a moment of grace and magic and healing for you. I'm really seeing that. The more I think about it, the more I think about these transits and how they're hitting you and how things are shifting, it's like this is that moment of grace. But it's really important here. You all can be so hard on yourselves. You all demand a lot of yourselves. Healing is important. And one of the things to sit with this month is going to be the inner child that's felt really stressed and frazzled. The inner rebellious teen who has felt unheard and overwhelmed as well. The part of yourself that's maybe been a caretaker or has really been out there. You know, Nine of Wands is about the world-weary warrior. It's about the warrior who's seen and experienced a lot of heavy things. It's important to give those parts of yourself a lot of deep love. This is a whole service. This whole month is one big holy communion for you to suffuse all of these parts with deep love. And I so often find, you know, that when we think that we are taking steps back by maybe feeling the feelings and taking the time to sit with those grieving parts of ourselves and to release the weight that maybe we're not going far enough, fast enough. But here's the thing, that is epic, important forward motion, right? And for me, this series of cards is the gateway through which you are accessing this joy. And I just want to clarify here when I say this. I'm not asking you to go out and seek painful situations, painful repetitions of the past, right? Like, you're not being asked here to find joy via, you know, putting yourself in traumatic relationship processes all the time or to like stress yourself out more. The connection to your future path has to do with you being okay with the cathartic experience of communing with those parts of yourself that maybe you perceive as flawed or imperfect or haven't navigated 2020 perfectly, or who have been frazzled and overwhelmed. Who maybe you feel like you were supposed to accomplish this or be this. This is also just a moment of grace and forgiveness around yourself, maybe others that you've had difficult times with, anything like that. And it's so much bigger than 2020 because once again, this is the culmination of all of that energy opposing you when Saturn was moving through Capricorn. And it is like an altar place to put down your grief and put down your heaviness. And that's what I mean by moving forward. So I just want to clarify that if you're feeling like you have to guilt yourself into being re-traumatized by things, not asking for that at all. But I do see, it's so weird, you all. This reading is so wild, it's blowing my mind. What I see is a lot of joy. It's that it's that great paradox of that's so important in, I think, all spiritual practices, which is that the moment you stop like running after and pursuing joy and being perfect and like, you know, having like your perfect positive mantras and all of that, and you let yourself into the grace of feeling and releasing, and you are at that threshold, you immediately find the joy of life, right? And it's that conversation that's going on here, and it is a merging of a couple of different waters. But I also see how like it is important to put down anything that has finished or completed, any heaviness, any storylines around who you are that maybe were useful during the last 3 years, but you don't need to bring with you. It's very important that you put them down this month. Take your time, you know, sort through it, go through the drawer of your thoughts and notice what you want to take with you, because that's, you are guaranteed this kind of blessing. But like I said, I'm not surprised this is the Cancerian reading, because you live life through a depth and an understanding of the hidden. That means that this is actually one of your gifts. Your understanding of the hidden, your understanding of the behind the scenes is actually your immediate gateway always into joy and into blessing in life. And you may feel like you need to resist it, or you need to do things differently than, because you look around at other people in the way that they're maybe navigating things, or they're welcoming blessings, and you think, maybe I'm just doing it wrong. Maybe I need to do it like them. But this reading is telling me it's okay for you to do your magic from that powerful place hidden. We so often stigmatize the energies we saw at the beginning of this reading, right? You know, normally, like with tarot and with pop culture, it's always like, oh no, you know, these terrible things are happening. We stigmatize being emotionally raw. We stigmatize sitting with our world-weary warrior who just needs a hug. We stigmatize the beauty of release and forgiveness and grace around judgment. We stigmatize exhaustion and the need for rest. And I find that fascinating, don't you? It's really interesting that we are so uncomfortable as a culture with some of these concepts, when really there is nothing to fear in them. So I just see a lot of beauty here personally. I have some affirmations to take with you for December. Just soothing things that I feel and that I just wanted to share. So here we go. I am open to new pathways. I feel them opening up all around me. I am full of contentment in meeting the newest version of myself. I take care of myself in practical ways, and that practice welcomes in powerful magic. Yes. I totally agree. This month, if you can find practical ways to just take care of your health a little bit, just little ways, it really helps navigate the frequency changes we are going through. I want to be getting much deeper into that over on Patreon, specifically just around these shifts and how to work with them, and some tools to take with you. And it's going to be a really great space. So I would love to see you over there. I will leave the Patreon link below if you're interested in joining us in a beautiful little community over there. You can also find me on my Instagram and on my website. We'll leave all the links below for you. And you can find Pink Loon's gorgeous jewelry. Oh, it's been hiding here behind my hair. Over on her Etsy shop. She's always got something beautiful and handmade and thoughtful. So if you're looking for some inspiration there, go there. And I will see you all in January to continue Mirror season for the Cancerian clan, and to start a whole new adventure. I love you so much. You know I do. And I will see you all very soon. Have a beautiful December, my loves.